The Party Upstairs, written by Zara Lennon, read by Drew Grimm. The subtle tick of the clock on the wall rang sharply in Amelia's ear, almost as though it were trying to break her concentration. An aroma of tedium lingered at the edges of the room like a bad smell, refusing to leave until she succumbed to the temptation. Amelia, however, ignored it. There was no way she was going to just put everything aside at the drop of the pendulum. Certainly not when she had a history essay due in 5 days' time. Besides, if there was one area she consistently excelled at, it was working late into the evening. Her sister Hermione was great in the morning, but would always run out of energy toward the end of the afternoon. Normally, Amelia would have help from someone, but here, she didn't have that luxury. Her father had taken Hermione out for the evening, and her mother was working late, so she didn't have any alternatives, apart from her friend Clara, who lived in flat 19 on the floor upstairs with her parents. Amelia was glad she had Clara as a friend. She could always count on her to be there for her when she was at her lowest. To her, Claire embodied the characteristics she usually wanted from Hermione. To say that she was difficult to be around would be an understatement. She was cranky, boisterous, and abrasive, making for temperamental company. The worst part was that she would always be occupied with other things when it was important, like being out with friends. Amelia paused for a moment, before letting out a long, weary sigh, and then resumed her work. You don't need her help with a simple essay, she thought. Besides, history had never been her strongest subject. She continued on once again, but not before checking her watch first. It read 8:25 p.m. Her mother would usually be finished with work around this time. And what about her father and Hermione? Surely they can't be staying out for this long, she thought. Suddenly, Amelia heard strange noises, which were brought to her ears by the still winter breeze. They were coming from upstairs. Despite being muffled by the floorboards, they were loud enough to hear. From what she could make out, it sounded like music. Someone upstairs is having a party of some kind, she thought. Thankfully, not of the rowdy, dysfunctional kind, where tunes played for hours on a loop, while drunken guests stumbled out of the doorway, clearly too intoxicated to think straight. Yet it didn't sound that cheerful or energetic either. It was neither cheesy, upbeat dance music, or the grungy rock tunes that punk enthusiasts would gravitate towards. If it was, then she would have heard jumping noises coming from upstairs by now. She shifted her priorities to blocking out the noise, so that she could finish her studies as intended, because as much as she was tempted to go up there, she had more important things to concentrate on. But intentions change. As time passed, the music subtly grew louder. Amelia struggled to concentrate. It almost felt as if the music were trying to lure her upstairs. She stopped to consider the thought. Even she had to admit that she wasn't exempt from the occasional break now and then. It was getting late, though, even for her standards. She never went around to someone else's house at this stage in the day, and yet, it all seemed so tempting. After all, she had been working for nearly 2 hours now, with very few breaks. Deep down, Amelia knew that she wasn't going to last the whole evening. Perhaps it's time that I took a break, she thought to herself. Therefore, she put her essay to one side and reached for her phone, but not before taking a spare key. As she made her way toward the stairs, the music got closer. From what she gathered, it seemed to be coming from Clara's flat. Perhaps they were hosting a party. But then, why wouldn't they tell anyone? Maybe it was a private party. Amelia proceeded to text her friend to let her know she was coming over, expressing her excitement at the same time. Amelia felt privileged somehow. Heading to Clara's for her birthday was one thing, but it another thing for it to be a secret one. She almost felt smug about not going over it with anyone else. Not her mother, not her father, not Hermione. She followed the trail toward her friend's flat, hearing vintage jazz tunes coming from inside, akin to the music of Frank Sinatra. A warm glow shined on the edge of their doormat, which only made it seem more inviting. Without hesitation, she slotted the spare key into the lock and made her way inside. Upon entering, she was greeted by a buzzy atmosphere, complete with relaxed jazz music and small talk from casually dressed guests who were drinking wine with their partners. It seemed so welcoming to her. It was a far cry from the drab atmosphere of her own flat. This is better than I could have imagined, she thought. I could stay for a while and take a much-needed rest from doing homework. Strangely, however, there had been no signs of Clara or her parents. Surely they wouldn't want to miss their own private party, thought Amelia, feeling a nagging hint of suspicion. They're probably just in the kitchen, she thought. They're just probably in there making snacks. They'll show up soon enough. In the meantime, she decided to sit back, relax, and enjoy the leisurely party. Minutes passed, yet nothing had come of it. This is out of character for Clara, she thought to herself. Why would she play a joke on me like this? Tired of waiting, Amelia reached for her phone. Where are you? I'm currently at your place because I saw that there was a party going on in your flat, she texted. Not long afterwards, her phone buzzed loudly. But when she saw her friend's reply, her blood froze. What party? My parents and I are currently away on a trip. When she turned to face her surroundings, the atmosphere had completely changed, and not for the better. Wine trickled down the pearly white tablecloths, leaving a bloody stream in its wake. The chatter and laughter had dissipated in the thin air. There was no company anymore. The phonograph sputtered to itself in the corner, rehashing the same tune over and over, while the once cozy scene gradually revealed its true dilapidated state. A rotten smell permeated through the air. Its vile stench was so overpowering that it almost made Amelia want to throw up. Sealing the deal was a large bloody handprint on the window from the inside. What have I done? She thought. What on earth have I gotten myself into? Indeed, this wasn't what she had signed up for. Suddenly, someone turned to grab her shoulder without warning. As she turned to face her host, or more accurately, what remained of her, it became clear to her of the dire situation she now found herself in. Sitting next to her was a mutilated corpse, dressed from head to toe in blood and flesh, with cold skin and a large gash across the side of her neck where her throat had been slit. Leaving so soon, she croaked. That's such a pity. We were only just getting started. In that moment, her body seized up, and her stale voice dissolved into violent fits of coughing, each one more brutal than the last. Meanwhile, the other guests followed suit, lying lifelessly on the floor. Their remains were slowly decomposing, right before Amelia's eyes. Amelia sat there, horrified. She wanted to run, but her legs refused to move. She wanted to scream, but nothing came out. Here she sat, with only the carcasses and the phonograph to keep her company. But she couldn't stay here forever. They could, but not her. Eventually, she could no longer stomach it anymore. She grabbed her phone, headed for the door, and ran. The door slammed behind her. She frantically locked it and sprinted downstairs, refusing to look back. She returned home to find everything was exactly where she had left it, and breathed a long sigh of relief. Thank goodness for that, she thought. Now all she needed was for someone to come home, so that this horrifying experience could be over with. Suddenly, her phone buzzed again. This time, however, the text was coming from Hermione's phone. "We have had such a wonderful time out together," it read, before Hermione responded with another reply. "It's just such a shame that we had to leave so soon." Amelia froze. Her phone slipped from her grasp, landing on the rug below. In that moment, she felt her body seize up with terror once more. The party was over for her. But for whatever evil lurked in her friend's flat, the party never stopped, and it never would.